4 years ago, I wrote a piece for the New York Daily News posing the question of whether President Trump would be more of a disruptor or a destructor. 4 years later, we still don't have an answer to that question. But we do know more about the man, and certainly the last few weeks have called back into question whether or not his form of disruption is actually more destructive.
Why do some people, why are they successful, and when successful, highly successful, making billions of dollars for themselves, for their investors and so forth, and why some people, because of one or two major mistakes, are in the dustbin of, or the rogues gallery of destructors, I call them. And there are three members of that that you probably know. First one is Travis Kalanick at Uber. And he did not understand how to grow an organization. And so he had a startup culture, even when he had 12,000 employees.
Wow.
And it was no holds bar, very aggressive, go after it, which was fine when he was getting started and why they were so successful. But at 12,000 people, there are definitely employees who are not going to look at that kind of culture very favorably. And so there were lawsuits, discrimination lawsuits and so forth. That then the municipalities that had played the game to disrupt the taxi and limousines, got cold feet and started either threatening to pull the licenses or in some cases actually pulled their licenses. And that was a downward spiral. And so he was forced to resign 2.5 years ago. And his successor still hasn't fixed the business model. They're still unprofitable. They had an IPO 4 or 5 months ago. It's now 20% lower than it was, and the market is easily 10 or 15% higher. So obviously he destroyed value, and they're still trying to figure out how to do that. My favorite, and I'm sorry that she's a woman, but she is a woman, is Elizabeth Holmes.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's I can say denial is not just a river in Egypt. That was a woman who was totally in denial.
Everybody know who she is? Founder of
Theranos. Yeah. And my third one is a man who I worked for briefly, Howard Stringer, who took over the leadership of Sony. And under his leadership, and I had left long before that, the stock lost 75% of its value. He had no clue about consumer electronics. So you have Kalanick, who clearly didn't understand how to build an organization. You have Elizabeth Holmes, who from the very beginning wasn't listening to anybody and felt that being tunnel visioned was the way to go, which is exactly a sign that it's not going to work. If you get into this tunnel vision, it's pretty much the kiss of death, no matter what you do. And Howard Stringer, he really wasn't into it. I had a meeting once where he had gotten a letter from the chairman of the board inviting him to become CEO because they were asking the guy who hired me to resign. And Howard's because Howard had restructured and turned around the Americas. And he said, I don't know if I want to be the CEO. I want to be the chief restructuring officer, but not the CEO. He just wasn't that into it, and it showed.